Everyone's entitled to a little confusion in their lives. I practically thrive on it.
All right, Pete. I'm having a hard time getting the video. Yep, hang on. We got it now.
That's gonna work great, man. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The final annihilation of the life form known as man. Let the attack begin.
All right. Welcome to Interfleet Broadcasting. I'm New York Pete. This over here is, Chris the Tipsy Toaster. Yeah, whatever.
Okay, let the broadcast
Thanks
begin.
for joining us on our, news, pop culture, sci-fi entertainment channel. Full disclosure, Chris and I are big 70s and 80s fans. We grew up watching all that great stuff from back then. We also have a healthy respect for everything that comes out today as well, but we just let you know where we're coming from. And we're big
Outer
Battlestar
space.
Galactica fans. Yes, we are,
the
but
base star.
we're also big Battlestar Galactica fans. That's what brought this all together. Thanks for joining us live, everyone. And we have a whole bunch of surprises for you, including a special guest waiting in the green room. So
Are they? Oh, whoops.
Oh, absolutely.
Give me a
We are,
second.
yes.
can't
We're gonna
find the
do
green
our
room.
toast, of course, and then we have award-winning horror author. I'm really anxious to get into new projects, new writing. I mean, you talk about a history and the awards that our surprise special guest has is pretty cool. Not pretty cool, just cool in and of itself. And we're going to delve into it. And our guest is also with Crystal Lake Publishing. And of course, you guys know that we're involved with Crystal as well. And we're really, really looking forward to getting into this. However, we always have, a tradition here that we uphold, and that is not only to toast to the fans, but, as you guys pop on from all over the world, we like to acknowledge, at least that's what I like to do more than Tipsy, but Tipsy's he prefers to press the buttons and all the things that glow. Yeah.
This was not on the show form tonight, so I need some help. You told me one person was going to be here.
Yes. And our special
not.
guest.
I didn't.
Well.
You forgot to say special guest.
Okay. So it's our surprise special guest.
It's even a surprise to me.
That's the specialty of it. So, yes, because Jasper Barker is waiting in the green room, and so we'll pull him in a minute or two. In the meantime, why don't we get the toast out of the way?
All right.
Our fans are
ready
special.
tonight.
Oh boy.
So
Okay,
this one's special.
you're out of
Because
control.
This place is right down the road, and it's a place where Mrs. Toaster, Toaster
Yeah.
Strudel,
Oh boy.
and I
Why don't you just drink?
had our first date there.
Oh, okay.
So, and now they're shutting down.
oh,
So this is the last.
the last of the
last beer
of the.
from
Okay,
the actual place.
that's too bad. Well,
It is. It was we went and took pictures
Yeah.
there and got this last beer, so I'm gonna fill it up.
all right.
And
Well,
we'll toast them as well as.
That's right. We're going to toast.
some dark.
And there you go. So, now that you're ready and
I
prepared.
am ready.
Okay, good. So,
Physically,
look,
maybe not mentally, but definitely ready.
no, that never mentally. thanks to you guys for tuning in. We
Yes.
appreciate you and everybody else.
You're not going to call out
Sometimes
names? Come on,
and
people.
the tens of thousands. I figure I'll recognize who's on while you straighten out
Scramble.
whatever. Yeah, you scramble
Yeah.
behind the scenes and keep adding. Just add,
It's that deck
add,
on the
and
water
add.
thing, man. Everything looks
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
on the surface, but underneath, I'm paddling like a son of a.
Well,
Anyways,
here's to the
thank you for
fans.
coming. Here to you.
Yep.
Here's to the fans. Thanks for coming. Thanks for everything that you do. You are amazing people. The people behind the scenes that create things, as well as the people who look for those things and buy stuff.
Yes.
And it's amazing that there's such a great fandom out there for all of these sci-fi. So here's to you, the fans, because the fans fuel the fleet.
Cheers. All right. So real quick, Lola and George G in the house and Paul, thank you. Professor Patton is with us, Erica Riley and Colin. And who am I missing? Hey, Rick Moreno, another one of our good friends, another award-winning sci-fi author. Thank you, Rick, for tuning in. And oh, Rob Baum, unofficial fact checker, is here with us. Oh, Charlene Donatello. And let's see, I hope I'm not missing anyone. Chris Laskowski from Down Under. And let's see, I guess that okay. So that's who I'm picking up on the IFB
That's it.
Facebook. I know that there is a bunch of others on YouTube, and there's a couple of others on a couple of the other feeds. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. Appreciate you coming on, and you know, every show now this year in our fifth season, it's like within 24 hours, pushing 48, we have thousands of views. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate you live and later. So, it doesn't matter. Reruns are good. We love reruns. So we grew up on reruns. But so we got a lot of cool things to discuss, especially once we pull up
We're good.
our special guest,
We're good.
Jasper Bark. We're good?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull him up.
And fire.
Boom.
Now, hopefully the audio
Jasper,
works. Is the audio
welcome.
working?
Welcome to IFB.
Check, check.
Thank you
Hey,
so
it
much
does
for
work.
having me.
Absolutely.
And
Good
We
evening or morning. Almost what time
well,
is
I
it
was
there?
just going to say, actually, you've probably guessed from my accent, I'm speaking to you not only from across the pond, but across a 4 hour time gap. So I am speaking to you from the future.
Yes, we love that. Speaking from the future is all
So
the
what's
best.
what's the winning lottery numbers? Can
No,
you give me those?
he can give us lottery.
I can't tell you the lottery numbers.
Ah.
I can tell you that we've just been overrun by a giant army of mutant ants. And in fact, most of civilization, as we know it, is falling to their mandibles. So you, practically, my friends, you have 4 more hours to kiss your loved ones, say goodbye to them, say goodbye to civilization as we know it.
That was
See,
my
that's what you-
that was my
Perfect, Jasper.
Empire
Thank
of
you.
the Ants was probably the
right.
one that was the worst movie I ever watched when I was a kid. Scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid. The
See,
Empire of the Ants.
you thought you were going to get the local lottery numbers, and instead we got doom and gloom. Perfect.
So, yep,
Sorry.
kiss your loved
There
ones.
is-
It's over.
Goodbye, Jasper. How are you? Thank you for taking the time out. Appreciate you, coming to talk to us on IFB. And you've been writing for decades. And once upon a time, I believe you were a journalist,
Mhm.
and you just
I wrote about film and music.
oh,
It was like many authors. It was a way of almost tricking myself into learning how to exchange words for money. This is back in the 90s. And it seemed like a good fun thing to do. I was making a very hand-to-mouth living as a stand-up comedian. I had a full-time relationship. I started to get bills and responsibilities, and couldn't
That
spend most
sucks.
of the time surfing from city to city. So I thought, I've got to get a relatively regularly paying job. So I was basically paid to go out for a living. I went to see movies, I went to see gigs. Little later, I became like a theatre critic. But yeah, mainly it was kind of going to parties, meeting celebrities, going to premieres, going to like gigs. But most of what I was writing was really only like a reaction to somebody else's creativity. I spent a lot of time interviewing people in the film and music industries who are highly creative, and I could connect with them on a creative level. But I ended up really feeling I was on the wrong side of the microphone, and inevitably, I had someone else's dream job. It wasn't my dream job. So, yeah, it was when my wife was pregnant with our second child that I had actually sold at that point one novel. And I told her I was going to quit my job. I was working as a cable TV presenter and national journalist. I was going to quit all that nice, lovely money. We're going to move out to a rural location, and I was going to write for a living. At that point, I noticed actually that she was chopping vegetables and she had a very, very, very sharp knife in her hand. And it honestly, the woman is a saint. It's down to her care and patience with her good for nothing husband that I'm actually alive here today to be able to warn you about the mutant ants which have just taken over.
Of course. However, there's an extensive background in your successful writing history, the novels that you've done, and there's upcoming publications as well. However, you don't only write horror. I mean, you've written other things as well. One of the book covers that caught my eye immediately. I was looking at your store on actually it's jasperbark.com, and I was browsing through the bookstore and I saw Sniper Elite Spear of Destiny. I
Yeah,
was like,
that
"Ooh."
Holy crap! Roller derby. Well, yeah,
And roller derby.
roller derby. That was a comic series. I was commissioned to write for an American company called Silver Phoenix Comics. And I wrote a whole bunch of issues for them, and a couple of issues, I think about three issues were drawn, but unfortunately, they only ever brought out this one version, which is also an ashcan version, so it's not even the full proper colored version. But I had
Ooh.
lots of fun doing that. And actually, just about that time, roller derby was beginning to take off here in the UK. My girls, I've got two daughters. They were just about to go into teenage at that age, and so they thought roller derby was absolutely one of the best things they'd ever seen. Um, yeah, and the Sniper Elite Spirit of Destiny came. I was asked to basically novelize the game by the company Rebellion. They own a comic called 2000 AD, which is a sci-fi comic. It's responsible for Judge Dredd and Rogue Trooper, which has just been made into a movie, and lots of other incredible science fiction strips that I grew up reading. I finally, after bribing the editor by inviting him out to a whole bunch of free movies, managed to sell him a series of script. I became a script droid, as they were called. And that led to me being asked to, when 2000 AD was bought by the games company Rebellion, who do Sniper Elite, they asked me to write the novelization of the game. I am seriously the world's worst gamer, and at one point I even had to review games. I had all the consoles and the kit, and seriously, I had to get people around to play them for me so I could take notes. Because honestly, it's embarrassing seeing me with like a joystick in my hand or any kind of console in my hand. But that was novelization. I was the basic brief was, can you write The Professionals meet John le Carre, which is basically kind of what I did. So it's a slightly alternate historical World War II action thriller, which was
Well,
kind of right.
you're in good hands here because Tipsy and I happen to be fans of roller derby, and believe it or not, and of course, your work on all the subject matters. I know Draw You In is another series that you've been. There it is. So,
You might be right. Egregious product placement.
well, listen, you're here, you're an author, you have these books, you're putting them out, they're popular, you've won awards. So why not let everyone know? And IFB, by the way, happens to be a venue for authors. We've interviewed over 150 authors.
Wow.
So you're again, you've landed in the right place. So tell us about Draw You In.
Well, Draw You In is a paranormal
Mm.
thriller, which is set against the backdrop of the history of horror comics. And from the 1950s, with legendary horror comics like the EC's Vault of Horror, and also what are known as pre-code horror comics, all the way through to the present day. It not only explores the secret history of horror comics, it also takes a road trip through the States and looks into the secret unwritten history of the United States, and it reveals the secrets of the cosmos. By the time you reach the third book in the trilogy, I'm just going to hold them all up like this. The secrets of the entire cosmos will be yours.
Yay! So you're not gonna. So that's it. That's all we need. We need book one, two, and three, and we will have, like you said, the power and secrets of the cosmos. That's it. There's nothing else. End the story.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And basically, also it tells the story of a middle-aged horror comic artist called Linda Corrigan, whose career is somewhat on the skids. 10 years ago, she was a bright, up-and-coming, brilliant new artist. Now, as happens with an awful lot of comic superstars, her career is on the wane. Her phone has stopped ringing. She no longer works for the big publishers. She kind of works for the larger indies. And she's at a horror comics convention and she bumps into an editor-in-chief who's a huge name in the industry. He invites her to one of the after hours parties where all the basic deals are done. This could be a big break, it could relaunch her career. She turns up at the event and nobody's heard of the person who invited her. She thinks this is a big hoax. She gets really cross. She decides she's going to go and tear a strip out of him. But he not only seems to have disappeared, but no one seems to remember he even existed. So she starts digging into this, and he's not in his hotel room. His name is no longer on any of the comics that she knows he edited. She even makes a point of going to visit his mother, who claims she's never had a child. She reports a missing persons to the local New York police station, and they basically say that she's very lucky. They're not going to charge her for wasting police time. And just as she's walking out the police station, she just feels utterly demoralized, beginning to doubt her mental health. She's approached by an FBI agent who tells her that he worked a very, very similar case some time ago, where somebody not only disappeared but ceased to seem to have ever existed at all. And he's never forgotten that case. In fact, it's basically sidelined his entire career. And not only her case, but his case are linked by one thing, and that's a forgotten horror comics genius known as R.L. Carver, whose work was so horrific and so brilliantly drawn that he basically was too horrific to get any work. He was too talented to even work in the industry. And as a consequence, he was marginalized and sidelined, not only because of his race, but because of his extreme talent. They go in search to see what happened to this elusive character who seems to have drifted away. As they explore his life story, they explore the history of horror comics. But as I say, also, they begin to discover a very strange, sinister conspiracy which goes all the way back to the founding fathers of the United States. And it tells a secret history of basically everything that founded the nation.
wow. All right. So this is really, really cool. Now, is this available in audio or not?
Unfortunately, not yet. We haven't recorded it. We're still looking at vocal artists and we're still looking at release schedules. So it's available as of course, a hard copy,
Mhm.
a paperback, and also it's available on Amazon and I think Nook and Kobo.
Okay. So is are you projecting this to become uh a comic book, right? Or a television show?
Yeah, well, I obviously you every writer hopes to spill over into other mediums. It's funny you should say a comic book because one of the things a lot of the critics have picked up on is I've written a lot of comic books in my career, and we actually get the whole book contains stories within stories within stories to such a point, actually, that one of the stories comes to life and becomes a character in the main narrative. It deals not just with metafiction, but with actually living sentient fiction within a work of fiction. And I also there are little interludes where we cut away and we actually get some of the work of R.L. Carver. Just before he died, he wrote a legendary graphic novel that basically put every single publisher who tried to publish him out of business. Either their offices burned down, or there was a hurricane, or the printers got robbed. But every publisher who tried to publish this graphic novel fell to rack and ruin. And it's become legendary, and they begin to try and track down the only surviving copy of it. And as a consequence, we get little snippets of R.L. Carver's work. And it was interesting attempting to transpose the comic strip reading experience into a prose experience.
Wow.
You'll have to find out how I did that. It's not yet been made into a comic, but we did pull a hoax when the comic was launched. I actually got in touch with a few leading comic websites and said I was going through my friend's attics and I came across these unpublished printers proofs for these now out of print comics titles from the 1950s and the 1970s. And most of it's just reprint work, and I can source it to all these places. But there are these three strips by this artist called R.L. Carver that I've never come across. Does anyone know anything about him? And I published individual strips in all these different sites on various blogs as well that kind of dealt with comics from those periods here and in the States and over in Germany as well. And so for a brief while, kind of from April until the launch of the book in June, I actually had a whole series of comics experts going in search of this forgotten horror comic artist, just as the actual characters in the story do. And of course, when the comic came out, we came out, said it was a hoax. A lot of people had guessed by that point, and they were picking us up saying, this doesn't look like proper dot matrix printing. And conversely, not only did my characters escape from the actual fictional world into the real world, but two close friends of mine, Walt and Louise Simonson, who are famous for doing Thor and the Fantastic Four. In fact, they even appear, they make guest cameos like Stan Lee in the Thor movies. They actually appeared as themselves in the book. They actually appeared as characters. They're very, very friendly with my main protagonist, and they interacted with her. They wrote all their own dialogue and all their own action, and I invited them in to basically do or say whatever they wanted, and whatever they said stayed in the book. So they had completely carte blanche to change my plot if they wanted. So, and one of the themes of the book was the way that fiction and reality, particularly in comics, seem to like flow into each other. Yeah, you had a lot of right from the 1950s when you used to have EC horror comics artists like Jack Kamen and Bill Gaines appear in their comics, but also we have things like the hackers group Anonymous and the Occupy Wall Street adopted the V for Vendetta mask. So comics does affect reality, and reality does affect comics, and so we kind of played with that in a lot of ways with the three books.
In the show, the adapted Utopia show in the United States, I watched. I didn't get a chance to watch the original UK version, but in the American version, there is a hint of what you're saying, where this one illustrator created this cult comic book series, and then these kids are looking to figure out what's going on, and they go to conventions, and your story reminded me just a little bit of that, which is so cool.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I think there is a little bit. Yeah, I have seen the UK and the US version. It's a fantastic show. So obviously there are parallels there. People have drawn parallels with the X-Files back in the 90s as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course there are parallels there. But I think I've done something with the subject matter and with the tropes that no one else has quite done yet.
It sounds like a great, you said X-Files. I believe, based on your outline, that it would make a tremendous TV series.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to checking it out myself. We do Chris the Tipsy Toaster and I, we do a lot of audiobooks so that we can, be able to carry on with the show and then consume as much as we can while we're traveling and doing the rest. But your work sounds definitely worthy of the read, hands down. And it's 3 volumes, and
That's
that's
right.
it.
Yeah. 3 volumes, and that's it. There is a larger mythology that sits behind it,
Right.
which is a bit of a cosmic horror mythology. It informs this book and it spills over into other works, but this story is self-contained within three
Wow.
books.
Wow. All right. So I have to ask, how long did it take you from concept to this last book? How long was that?
I'm gonna have to say it was 10 years. Um,
Wow.
I came up with the idea and I pitched it to my agent, and my agent said no. Um, Sometimes they do. Nah, that's never going to sell. I won't buy that. So then I pitched it to a couple of publishers, and they said nah. So I put it on the back shelf, and I worked on other work. I developed a brilliant relationship with Crystal Lake Publishing, who are fantastic people to work with. I brought a whole bunch of books with them, and uh, I had built up a great relationship with them. And then they said, "Do you have anything you'd like to work on?" And I'd put this in a bottom drawer and forgotten about it. So I kind of dug out the idea and the early sample chapters that I'd done and said, "How about this?" and pitched it to them. And Joe Meinhardt, the head CEO and head honcho at Crystal Lake, went, "This is one of the most exciting um, pitches I've ever had," which is like the first time I'd heard that. But this is the work, the life of a jobbing writer. So I
Well,
sat and wrote it, and I thought it was going to be one like 100,000 word novel, and kind of like one of those irradiated amoeba on a mad scientist petri dish that just kind of gets growing and growing to eventually it takes over the whole city of Boston. It was just one of those stories. It didn't stop growing, and I had to go back to Joe and who'd scheduled the release, and we'd agreed a delivery date, and I said I'm going to blow the deadline. I'm so sorry, and even worse than that, it's not going to be one book, it's going to be three. And Joe, because he is an amazing human being, when that's not a problem, will rearrange my entire publishing schedule and handles it when it's done.
uh, I can tell you that it is extremely fascinating. I like the way you described it and the
Thank
story and the whole. I'm hooked. You have well wishes from Baz from Australia. Welcome to the show. 3 volumes, a lot of work. Obviously, we just discussed 10 years in the making. So um, we're definitely going to be jumping into that. I definitely would like to explore, but there's other works that you have, and so where are you with the rest of? You have a lot of things, so tell us.
you.
Whoa.
Holding up, this is my latest release. It came out 2 days ago. It's called Dead Scalp. It's a weird Western, but with an emphasis on the weird. This is the Wild West like you have never seen it. Um, Dead
Ooh.
Scalp, basically, if you're down on your luck, if you have nowhere else to turn, nowhere else to run, if you have a lot of hard cash, and are prepared to delve into some seriously dark magic, this is the hideout. If you can make it in, then you might well live forever. It's a secret hideaway for desperados. However, something sinister is stalking its streets, committing acts of unimaginable atrocities. And it starts when our hero James Briggs bluffs his way in and gets himself into the good grace of Big Bill, who is the guy who basically runs the whole of Dead Scout, and begins to discover the dark secret of where Dead Scout comes from, why people live forever, and why you must never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, cut your hair or your beard. That will lead to a fate worse than death.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. I did see it on social media, have you know, that I did come across it.
Oh, good.
So yes, absolutely. So whatever I guess Crystal Lake and yourself are doing, it's working because I did see it out there. So and is it available in print? Is it available just tell us where we can get it.
Currently, it's available as an ebook and as a print book on Amazon. I think the publisher's done an exclusive deal with it. However, I also think, Chris, if you want a cheaper hard copy, you can get directly from Crystal Lake. Or if you hit me up on the contact form on my website, www.jasperbark.com, I will sign you a copy and send it to you pretty much anywhere in the world, as long as you
Excellent.
don't have shipping.
We actually have put up a link in the chat. IFB put up a link so that we can go right to Amazon and pick up your
Fantastic.
books. So that's there. And wow, it's just this is really, really cool stuff. And we're glad that you took the time out to stop in with us. Uh Quick question, do you go to conventions? Can the fans meet you in person at all or no?
Yes, yes. As a comic writer, obviously your career starts and ends with conventions. That's where you go to meet the people in the industry, where you learn to schmooze, make all the contacts. But also, it's where you kind of fall in love with the whole convention culture. And being surrounded it's one of those few times, like many people, I was a kid with a hyperactive imagination who grew up in a small rural town. Nobody really else was into the things I was into. I was aware there was this whole culture perhaps going on miles away from me, but it's like down the opposite end of the country in London, perhaps. But I didn't ever get to meet those people. When I got to grow up to be an adult, the convention culture began to creep in. There were one, two conventions when I was a young adult, and then the whole convention scene has exploded here in the States. Over here in the UK, I've even been to the States actually to quite a few conventions in the States as well. And yeah, increasingly, a big part of an author's income stream comes from direct sales, meeting people face to face, chatting to them, getting involved with them. You might have guessed I'm quite a theatrical individual, so I make a point of dressing up, putting on a bit of a show behind my stand, lots of bells and whistles to lure people in. And I've stood on the stands with some publishers who are astonishing salespeople. So I've sat there and watched and taken notes. And it's
Cool.
a fantastic way, yeah, to interact with people, to get feedback on what you're doing, find out what's going on in the industry, and also to meet like-minded people and to be part of a community, which is the coolest thing about what we do.
I agree totally. What are you scheduling out any future conventions?
I have one coming up in September, and I'm going to be at Edgelit, which is excellent. I'm going to be at the World Fantasy Convention, which is taking place down here, over here in the UK in Brighton, and an excellent little convention called Indie Horror Chapter, which will be taking place on the coast in a tiny little British seaside town called Weston Supermare. Not Western Nightmare, but Western Supermare. And that's put on by a group of people called the Indie Horror Chapter, and they help independent authors or authors who work with mid-sized press like I do. And it's one of those conventions which is all about books and all about readers. And it's not ram jammed, say, like Comic-Con that's just finished over in San Diego or the New York Comic-Con. It's only 700 or 800 people milling about, but every single one of those people comes along with a wagon, so they can buy 30, 40 books from all directly from all the authors at the stands, and there are
Wow.
author events, but it's mainly and so it's incredible. The first time I turned up at one of those conventions, that they're run by a dedicated group of people who just love indie horror. First time I turned up, I thought, well, this is going to be a washout. Look how few people there are. And I ended up with writer's cramp from signing so
Oh,
That's
sold out
fantastic.
stock. Most of the books that I bought. So it was fantastic. So I'm looking forward to going there. If you are in the UK and watching this, do go check out indiehorrorchapter.com and because their events are superb and they're geared towards people who love to read and love to write. And again, it's fantastic to be surrounded by so many people who are so is into horror fiction as you are. And as a writer, obviously that's why you do it. You know, I'm not actually in it for the vast bucks.
very
Obviously,
cool.
nice to make a living, but you do this because you love it, and you love it because you have a passion for horror fiction and horror in general, and not to mention sci-fi as well.
Okay, so that's real way way cool, and thank you for sharing that with us. Um,
There you go.
so Shane Chebsby is sending his hellos. He says long time no see. Shane,
It
thanks
has
for coming on. Appreciate you staying up and tuning in to IFB. I know that Dr. Chris McCauley will be in
yeah.
shortly. He says hello as well.
Can I mention as well? Shane has just brought out a collection by Pete Hogan. He had a really successful crowdfunder, and Pete Hogan is like one of Britain's best kept secrets. He's a comics writer who has been working since the 1990s, which is when I first ran across him. He wrote Resident Alien, the
Yes.
comics, which became the excellent TV series. And Shane's brought a collection of his one-off stories. It's a small comics anthology, really worth looking for. So thank you for coming on, Shane. And it's important to, I think, to plug it. I'm looking forward to reading it because I actually backed the Kickstarter.
Oh, outstanding. Well, thank you. See, it's a small world after all.
It is.
All right, so Jasper, I know that it's really, really it's getting late where you are.
Early.
However, yeah, early.
Getting early there.
Yeah,
It's getting
yeah.
very early.
I can't let you go without asking about
Every time.
your collection. You have a collection of novels, paperbacks, yes. And are
Yeah, and
those
comics.
and
Um,
comics?
actual. I do.
Okay. Well, you got to tell us a little bit about that. What's up there that's your favorite,
Yep.
just a little bit of.
What was your what are some of those inspirational ones that you've read or
The very first horror novel that I read, it was Psycho by Robert Bloch.
Oh, wow.
ah
Okay.
About 10 years old. I hadn't seen the film because this is the days in the UK there weren't many reruns. There were only like three like TV channels, and I'd seen this book mentioned in a magazine called Halls of Horror, which was put out by the same publishing company that did Warrior, which is where we get Miracle Man and V for Vendetta. And I read those as a very small child, blew my mind. I started reading this horror book, and they had an interview with Robert Bloch. And then the next day, as luck would have it, in my local library, which is a tiny little place, they had a copy of a battered paperback copy of Psycho, which I got off the shelf, managed to get it past the librarian, even though it was probably not the appropriate reading matter for someone my age, devoured it and changed me completely. I got to the end, burned through it in hours, got to the end, absolutely changed, blew me away. And it was in those days there weren't many Robert Bloch books in print, and you may know that Robert Bloch is an amazing short story writer. He's almost as good as O. Henry when it comes to like wild surprise endings. So I used to haunt thrift stores and yard sales looking for anthologies, all those anthologies from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, which had the old Weird Tales writers in them and later short stories. And I would just look for one story by Robert Bloch because it was hard to get any of his work. As a result of that, I of course came across H.P. Lovecraft, who was his mentor. I discovered Clark Ashton Smith, and I discovered all these fabulous Weird Tales writers, Hugh Cave, Frank Belknap Long, and then I went on to discover more contemporary horror writers like Ramsey Campbell. And Ramsey Campbell wrote in one of his columns in Halls of Horror that this new British writer was coming out and his book was just about to be published next month. And we should all go and read it because his work was amazing. And he was called Clive Barker, and the book was Books of Blood. So I raced down to my local like bookseller, which several towns over. I had to cycle like 12 miles to get there to order the copy of this book. And I got it on the week and read this book. And this was like nothing I'd ever read. Particularly the story In the Hills to Cities, when you're about 12 years old in a tiny little rural town in the UK, reading this strange story about cities lashing themselves together into giants and fighting in the hills. Never read anything quite like that. And I think that visionary horror off the back of all these brilliant, fantastic writers who could really craft a tale shaped my writing sensibilities from a seminal age. That's probably, and equally, I have to say, the old black and white horror comics from the 1970s were quite late getting to the UK. So the brilliant thing, all the Warren comics and also the utterly amazing Skyward comics didn't get to the UK till the 1980s, and we didn't get the whole run of them. We would get reprints from small fly-by-night publishers who would do 10 issues over a year, and then they disappear from business. So I disappear from view. So I collected all of those, kind of aware that there was this entire fictional comics universe that was just as a tiny kid from the sticks, just outside of my grasp. And the odd comic would come in at newsagents or newsstands that I'd stumble on. It'd be like, oh my God! And I'd begin to learn about all these strange writers like Bruce Jones and Al Hewitson and these amazing artists like Frank Frazetta. And that was my first exposure to horror comics. And I have got a heck of a lot of horror comics. That's why Joy Room is a bit of a passion project. I not only write horror comics, I've been reading them from the earliest age. It was probably Gene Colan's artwork on Tomb of Dracula. It was reprinted here in the UK in black and white in 1975 as a tiny 5-year-old kid. I turned over the page on in a newsagent, and Colan's artwork terrified me, but mesmerized me. And again, warped me for life. And to this day, my favorite, I've got pretty much an entire run of Tomb of Dracula. But I actually really like the essential Tomb of Dracula, where they reprint the whole thing on very bad newsprint in black and white, because honestly, that is the best way to see that artwork. Tom Palmer and Gene Colan working together, their pencils and inks are just glorious. You don't need any color on it. I have got the color copies, but you don't need them.
Ah, that's cool. Very cool. Uh,
That's
Jasper,
passion. That's
yeah, it's
passion.
awesome.
That's a fan. Somebody who is a big fan of something that has inspired them to do other things.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it shows. It shows in your work. It shows in the way you presenting, the history of the background, what you do and how you do. We see that often enough because we're lucky here on IFP to get those passionate people in whatever profession, whether it's in front of the camera, behind the camera, or like yourself, a published award-winning author who's a fan, and it's there. Not to say that you couldn't be a
Magical. Yeah.
successful author or whatever professional, and just be, for example, a sports fan, right? One of these passionate sports fans that writes something or does something else. But when you're a fan of what you're into, like yourself, it shows, and the fans appreciate it. And we thank you for that passion. Tipsy, do you have anything to bring up at this point?
I was just scouring the internet while we were talking for the roller derby, and I can't find it. It must be out of print.
I think it is, unfortunately. It was a really good idea. It was based on the Chicago outfit, Roller Girls, and we got the rights to use a lot of their names. And the
Wow.
idea was that they all had superpowers, and their superpowers were based on their particular monikers. And
Oh,
This sounds
and
fantastic.
so it was part soap opera, part roller derby action, and part absolutely wild out there sci-fi superheroics. It was a really good idea for a series. The idea came from Charles Moisant, who is the publisher. As I say, I wrote about 4 or 5 scripts for it. Some of them were drawn up. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get hold of now.
what
Maybe
years?
this would have been, I think it was the mid tenses. So I summed about 2014, 2015. I think it all happened. And roller derby was getting really big.
Yeah,
Well, I always
that's
tell Pete, there's only one real sport, and that's roller derby.
roller. That's right, roller derby. I've been to a lot of live roller derby matches here in the East Coast of the U.S. As Tipsy has as well, and so very cool stuff. Jasper, thank you so much. We want to have you come back and bring in at a different. Maybe like we adjust the time difference so that we can, delve into things when it's not as late on your end. We want to accommodate you a little bit more, have you back if you're open to it. But thank you so much. Really enjoyed hearing from you. And I'm going to be reading some of your work.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I have had an absolute blast chatting to you both. And again, your passion for what you do comes out, which is why I get all passionate and excited.
Well,
Obviously, I am English, so it's, my top lip even quivered, stiff as it is. Um, so thank you. I would love to come back and chat more about all things geeky, nerdy, and fandom.
perfect. Perfect. And we shall. All right. So
Yes.
we'll pick let's also coordinate with your schedule in terms of if there's anything that you're publishing, anything that might be coming out, an event, whatever it may be. Let's coordinate that and then have you come back. We'll have plenty to discuss.
Oh,
I'm
definitely.
sure we
There was, one of the questions here was, will Dead Scalp have any famous outlaws in it? That's the last question I'll throw at you. I
yes.
know Pete was ready to kick you off, but I just saw one of the fans threw it in there. So,
That's a great question. There are no actual historical persons in this novella, but of course, a lot of the outlaws in there are based on real life outlaws, like the whole of the War Gang, and like the Dalton Gang as well. Groups of desperados and their actual historical exploits do come up. And also, there's a lot of Native American First Nations mythology
oh,
as well in there,
that's
which
cool.
is also woven into the horror too.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well,
Continued success, Jasper.
yes,
And
and
see you.
yep, keep doing what you do. You're creating things for us to enjoy, creating
Thank you.
new worlds for us to read about and dream about. So, here's to you, sir, because the fans feel the fleet, and you are a definite
Cheers.
fan.
Most definitely.
Thank you, and hope to see you sooner than later. Wow, that was great. And it's like it's late there. It's past midnight, so we really appreciate Jasper taking the time out.
Oh yeah.
Who's he's working with Crystal Lake, and we have some work coming out of Crystal Lake as well later this year. So, and we'll talk about that with Doc McAuley when he comes on, and we'll get into some details. But very, very, very cool, man. I was jazzed. That story was like, wow, he's got a whole bunch of tropes in there that I love those things, man. And talk about that, blending the history of, horror comic books and putting it into
And
that
he knows so much
story.
about the history of horror
Man,
comics, especially in the UK,
yeah.
because that's the things that us in the US don't realize. I mean, I know we have some people from down under here, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't get to see Battlestar Galactica until the
Like
late
a
'80s,"
gazillion.
and
Yeah.
this it's we take it for granted of what we may
Yep.
get, or vice versa. Maybe they'll get something before we will, and there's just so many things that we miss out on, not getting a hold of fans and talking to fans from other locations. Maybe they've got a different view on something else, or they've seen something different, or they have something different in regards to a comic. That's what makes the fandom great. You keep talking with amongst each other, keep dreaming of the different types of stories that could be put together and inspire each other. I think that's that describes the fandom to the best.
Oh, absolutely. And getting the opportunity to actually, discuss these things from, his, sometimes we get authors that, and they write a lot. And sometimes, we pick a book because, the synopsis is cool, and the, the cover, the, whatever it may be that we pick on, and we zero in on it and we bring it up. And, like everybody else, like, oh, well, you wrote that like 5 years ago. Man, Jasper's like, no, boom, right on top of it. Yes, this, that. It remembers telling us the details, getting into the backstory, getting into, so cool, man. I loved it. And we really appreciate that. What else? Great interview, guys. Jasper is a top guy. Yes, Shane, absolutely. And yeah, so guys, if you're interested, we put a link to the Amazon in the chat, so you can go
that's a
right
link
through
to all of his his items.
all the work.
That links directly to Jasper on Amazon himself, and that's not the UK version, because that's where I went to first, and it was like, I can't do anything.
No, yeah. So this
I don't understand these pound things. What the heck is?
You got to put on the other brain there, Tipsy. Put on brain number 2,
British
man.
brain number 3.
Yes, and then you'll be able to understand it. You fool! Come on, it's not that complicated. But really, man, you know what? We didn't get into, which we will in the future, is where is that path to the American conventions? I know Jasper mentioned he'd been to, but we got to find out when he's going to be coming back to the States as well. So cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
We now have our next guest, and it's director and writer Mike Goodreau.
Yep.
Mike has actually worked on he's put out another fan film. The first one that he did was the older fan film After the Fall. And we'd been involved in the world premiere of that, and it was awesome. And now there is another one. And the next one now here that we're going to discuss is Freedom and Sacrifice. So we're going to bring on Mike, who's been traveling around the world. If you follow Mike, you'll see that he's one heck of a world traveler, man. He's all over the place. And then he's taking the time out to actually, do this fan film, which is so cool. He has his own style, and we want to get into some of the nitty gritty, how he wrote it, how he came up with the story, how he recruits everyone, the actors, he puts out the word. He has his minions that'll say, hey, listen, we're going to be here. We're going to be there. We need so many people. Come on out. We're going to be shooting, and we're going to talk all about it. And then hopefully Tipsy can maybe bring up some of those clips or scenes from the actual movie. And so we'll talk to Mike Goodreau. I believe he's in the green room. And Tipsy, when you're ready, I think he's ready. Yeah.
I gotta fix this camera.
All right, cool. Because I know Mike is coming right off of like a trip around the world.
Yeah,
we're gonna let him tell us. He's everywhere, man.
You follow him. He's like, where haven't you been?
Yeah, well, not many places, but he's been actually, over in Europe. And so I am pretty curious to know a little bit about that. But we're going to focus more on the film itself, the Freedom and Sacrifice, Battlestar Galactica fan film. I've watched it. The Eastern Alliance is involved. Hey, Mike, welcome back to IFB. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. How is your trip to around the world? You went to Greece, and you went to Croatia, and you went, I think, to Bosnia, and you went to a whole bunch of places.
I did. I took a cruise around the Mediterranean. Did a whole lot of new countries, whole lot of islands in Greece, Athens, the Acropolis, did a lot there. Saw the Game of Thrones sets, saw the Last Jedi sets.
Very
they're
cool.
actually a block apart in Dubrovnik.
Excellent. I saw some of the pictures you post. I love it. You know, it's like kind of being with you, looking over your shoulder. So that's very cool. But we're gonna delve a little bit into Freedom and Sacrifice. That's your
Yeah,
newest Battlestar Galactica fan film.
correct.
And tell us tell us why. First of all, Mike, you know, you've done this is at least the second that I know of. So you like dabbling in writing and doing the fan films. Why? Tell us why you do this.
Well, I loved the show 40 something years ago. Um, and at the time wrote some movies that I had, the ability to film on a Super 8 camera, with, models that were this big, and did what I could. And then, um, few years ago, well, maybe 15 years ago now, saw a Galactica fan film contest, and I said, I've got to be in this. So we shot one. We sent it there. Then a few years later, I got an email from somebody saying, I saw your film and I'd like to do a film, a follow-up Battlestar film with you. So we did, after the fall. It was big and exhausting, and we ended it on a cliffhanger. So I kind of said we have to do another one. We didn't really, fully explore all of what we could. So we set out and say, a bunch of us got together like, okay, where would this story go from here? Things have to get better because they were absolutely atrocious in the first one. So things are starting to get better. And then, the Eastern Alliance returns. And then some new threats will start appearing.
And they do, absolutely. So, but
Yeah.
the idea, Mike, that you have the passion. I obviously we all learn from, you know, from whatever project it is. Even from the Super 8, you learn how to do things, right?
Right.
The mediums change, and then that changes and affects the way, you're gonna go through a production and how you're going to film stuff. It can make things easier. It can typically makes things easier if
Yes.
you grasp that. So from after the fall to now, Freedom and Sacrifice, what was the goal in making this new fan film?
Well, I got spent a lot of money on some new editing software,
Okay.
or the animation software, so I could do a lot of the ships myself. And pretty much I said with it, let's just write it, and then we'll figure out how to shoot it. If it's going to be impossible, we'll find a way to make it work, or we'll adapt it. But pretty much we got everything as we wanted it.
Cool.
Yes.
So you feel like in terms of your script, you were able to get that done,
Yeah.
and the visuals, right? How do you feel with the visuals? I know the special effects look great, but
Yep.
how about the rest of it? How did you make that all kind of blend one with the other?
So what I did was every time I go away, which you've said is quite often, I place an ad in whatever city I'm going to. So for this one, the colonies are starting to reestablish themselves. We stole a line right from Take the Celestra that we're, reintroducing all these things, and I put it word for word, and then we added in sports. So when I did the 12 pyramid teams, as I went away, I would post ads and recruit actors. So those the 12 Oregonian high schools were actually in Baltimore, West Virginia, New York, and Massachusetts.
Wow.
So cool.
Okay, who's showing up here? Lucked out that one of them, I had the names of the 12 teams. So if you saw it, you know where I got them from. one of the 12 teams, when I got to the school, that was actually their mascot. So I said, okay, you are the Leonis team, and you're going to say it while standing in front of that sign. So we did that. We got the uniforms in a bunch of different colors, did a whole lot with them. To get all 12 teams there was, took a while. But every time I'd show up, like, all right, how many people we got? And these are the teams. Okay. That worked. So that was the middle sequence. After the Eastern Alliance goes away, then the pyramid, starts forming, and then a newer threat or two come in. So once we started with that, a lot of it was, the scenes were done, and then I'd watch it and say, all right, we need 3 scenes to explain what just happened here. So I, write them and we go film them. So a lot of it was, introducing the new threats, the new characters. What I like to do is what they did in the Ron Moore series is bring back characters from the original series in completely different formats. So Lacerda came in as a super bad guy, but not the bad guy that he was. We introduced, things from every series, Galactica 80, Blood and Chrome. That's a really hard one to catch. Caprica, we got things in there from everywhere, and then tried to make them all make sense.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah.
And so you directed, you wrote, and
Right.
and you edited as well?
Yes.
Wow.
Because a
Man.
lot of it was kind of written, like I wrote just the pyramid scenes. And then, film them all and then put them in. And now we need scenes around it. Okay, we need someone to be, the only reason I was the coach was because when we filmed the very first team, only one kid showed up.
Oh,
And there was
no.
no one for me to talk to. So I'm like, all right, I will be the coach. You can talk to me. And then we had the admiral say, oh, apparently you, ran a pyramid league back before the fall. So now you get to, go run this one, and they trust. And I was there for all the scenes. So I think my character met most of the players, or talked to most of the players. And then as the later scenes came on, I was mostly on the Battlestar Victoria. Occasionally I would jump over to the Battlestar Masada. I do go to the Rykon at one point just because, we filmed that. And we had all the scenes written, and then where I, came in and did the promotion wasn't written. But I said, we should end this here with something. There. Now the Rykon scene was interesting that we brought the green screen with us. We usually film with a green screen in a library. And when we got to that library, the background was just so perfect. I said, this looks kind of like the Pegasus. So there's no need for the green screen. And then I just superimposed the Rykon's logo on the wall. I said, nobody move in front of that.
Cool.
But the Victoria, the Masada, any of the other Battlestars, they were all green screen.
Not bad. So your first, the older fan film that you did, the After the Fall,
Yes.
tens of thousands of views.
Yes.
I think everybody really, really enjoyed that, and I think they're going to enjoy this one as well. If you haven't seen it, you definitely have to give it a shot. It's really, really fun. Where do you go now with this, Mike? What happens now that this is out? Is there going to be another one?
Yes. So actually, funny you should mention that. I actually started it this morning.
Wow.
No
rest for the wicked, huh?
Yes. So, it's hard to tell when we were doing the, putting together all the shots for Freedom and Sacrifice, and I needed some ruins on Geminon. And I'm looking through like all my footage, and I'm trying to drive around, find burned out buildings. Couldn't find anything. And then I just looked and I said, hey, here's, some close-ups of the Roman Forum and some crumbled columns, and no one's going to know. So I put those in, and that's Geminon. Then when I went back to the Forum and the Acropolis and all over, I was looking at all these columns and things. I'm like, well, this is going to be another planet. So I got some footage from many Greek islands and things saying this is going to be PyCon or Erelon. But I haven't done anything with that yet. But I animated a new Battlestar, wrote a scene, and started putting it in today. With
Excellent.
This one ends on a cliffhanger. Kind of know where it's going to go. Kind of know things are not going to go well for them in the next one. So kind of got to work all of that out and put things together and think like where are our characters now? It's been let's see. The original series came out in 2003, but when we made ours, it was 2013, so it was 10 years later. So now that it's been 12 years, we're saying it's been 12 years since the Cylon attack. So, any babies being born are only going to be 12. They're not going to be a whole lot of help to us. So we kind of have to go find people to crew these ships and reestablish the planets and things, and how many people are there. And then as the new threats are going to come in, things are going to get worse for them.
Way cool.
Yeah.
This is an ongoing thing, and we want to be supportive. So I hope that when the time comes that we can have another premiere debut of the next up and coming Battlestar fan film that you're going to put out. For those that don't know, Mike Goodreau actually appears in The Stranded Warrior as well. So he's a part of the team, and we appreciate you coming to help us with that, and we want to make sure that we support your work as well. So you got to keep us in the loop, Mike. I love following, all your posts and all the things on your travels and all the work that you do, and keeping Battlestar going. I know that the fans are interested. So where can they watch this? Where do you have this up?
So it's on YouTube.
Okay.
So I sent you guys. You clearly have the link because you're showing it right now. So it's on YouTube. I think if you just go to YouTube and hit Freedom and Sacrifice, it comes right up.
Okay, so we're going to definitely put that up so that anyone that's watching us here now or later, please go ahead and give it a watch. It's a lot of fun, and you see that it's made by a fan. It's someone that's really into it, and I can tell you that the stories are good. The stories are fun to watch, the ideas behind them, and then you start listening to where it's going and what's in it, and who's involved in terms of the bigger picture and the characters, and you'll be like, oh wow, this is straight out of Galactica. Oh man, you'll see. Just give it a watch, guys. You will not be disappointed. You're going to see familiar faces. Some of the actors that are in it also are in The Stranded Warrior. And Mike, you've done another great job. I know that the fandom appreciates it. We appreciate your work, and we want you to, keep us posted. And of course, you're going to come back when you got the other one going, or maybe you want to, show off some of the scenes for the next one, or anything like that. Please come back to IFB.
Or you need to advertise for help.
Yeah. Yes. So anybody wants to be in the third one, shoot me a message, because I have not shot any scenes, just some special effects. And there's 12 planets out there, and we got people supposedly on all of them, and our characters are still finding them. So anybody wants to play, we can make it happen.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you very, very much for taking the time out and giving us insights as, director, writer, editor. Very, very cool. We need to have you circle back at some point so we could have another little session, and maybe we can get a little more technical. And then, of course, you got the next one coming. So thanks, man, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right, here's to you, Mike.
Keep the fandom alive.
That's right. Fans fuel the fleet like you. Thank you. Very cool. This is part of what you and I, Tipsy, we always talked about helping the fandom, getting the word out, getting the stuff out. And Mike is doing exactly that. And so we want to make sure
Continuing the
that we're here
story.
for
I
him.
mean,
Yeah.
like when we did our fan film, it's a labor of love. It's
Oh,
hard.
absolutely.
And it's a way to give back to the fandom. It not only, granted, you do it a little bit for yourself, or maybe a lot bit
Well,
for
yeah.
yourself, because you
I mean,
want to get that
yes.
story out. But
Right.
it's something that some people can't do, because they either don't have the connections, or they don't have the capabilities. But if you can do something, and you really want to bad, you'll find a way.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when you do find the way, you're going to be sharing that with thousands. In the case of the first one here, thousands and thousands of people
Oh,
who
yeah.
watch
Oh,
the
boy.
watch the
Absolutely.
movie, and now maybe you're inspired to, hey, look, I can do this too. Hey, look, I think this story could go this way. So they could write a fan fiction, they could write a fan film, or just
hmm
sit back on one Sunday afternoon, kind of close their eyes, and just live in that world for a half hour, whatever it is that you've got
Yeah.
time to do in
Absolutely.
that, kind of a meditation type thing. That's kind of where I end up a lot of the times, just kind of sitting back and thinking, what if? And then a couple hours later, you're like, oh, I need to get something done.
Well, speaking of getting something done, we have none other than Doc McAuley is with us, and we're going to cover a whole bunch of other
Things that he's
projects.
got done.
Oh man, when does he not have things done? But we have some announcements. So for those that may not know, we have some really good news to share
Mhm.
with everyone. So I think
You
if
ready?
you have
I
yeah,
got it.
if you're ready, yeah, let's bring on Doc
Dun dun
McAuley.
dun. I need
Boom, boom,
a
boom.
we need a Doc McCauley sound.
Yeah, we do. It's got to be like his own sound effects when he comes on. Hey
Yeah.
Doc, what's up?
Good. I'm currently reclining in my little chair in the basement,
In the
so
den.
You
it's
said bass
nice.
star
Yeah.
incorrectly. There is no
Uh,
basement. It's a bass
There you go.
it's a bass
star.
star. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I caught Jasper's interview. Great book, that the new
Oh,
Western one.
absolutely.
I've read
Yeah.
it. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
that
we're
was
gonna have him.
good to
We'll
see.
have him back on. And Professor Patton says Galactica is wonderfully open-ended, so to let so much creativity in fan films and fanfic exist.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's great, So, a lot of there's always been a lot of talk about, the second season, and there's been a few scripts out there. But in a way, that one season of 1978, 79 that we got Battlestar Galactica is almost, ideal, right? No one knows what would have happened in the second season. Maybe it wouldn't have been the same. We saw like 1980, we weren't happy with that. But that 78, 79 one season of Battlestar Galactica, I think in and of itself is just, kind of masterful. I
Well,
really,
I remember ta chatting to Jack about it, Jack Stoffer, and that's
yeah,
where the short story came from that we bundled in with Jack's autograph, and it would
yeah,
have probably that it would have been interesting to see a little bit more of what happened to Commander Kane because in the short story that I'd
Oh, it's easy.
written,
He died.
uh, no, he didn't.
ah,
No, he didn't.
In my
He
world,
got he got captured. Well, in the short story I had written that
yes.
Jack really liked, it was he was captured by the Cylons and they started to rebuild him as part Cylon, and he resisted that
that's
and got
right.
out, got away. And I think that sort of a thing would have been particularly interesting, because the Cylons were originally reptilian
Yes.
Yeah,
creatures that. None of this new Battlestar nonsense where they were constructed and the spirit of a little girl goes into them and all of that. Like that was entertaining, but
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't make a
Yeah.
lot. It doesn't make
Yeah,
a lot of
no.
sense, does it really? It
Nah.
makes more sense that they were some sort of alien race that were cybernetically altered and then decided that they didn't like organics very much. Um, so for me, that makes a lot more sense in a sci-fi setting. But hey, everybody likes to rip off Terminator, don't they? That's
Yeah, I
well,
guess so.
that's slightly controversial, isn't it? But it's pretty
Yeah, a
true.
little bit.
But
Uh,
then
I
then that just goes right over to V. So
Well, it does, but
crossover.
yeah,
crossover.
it's that there's a lot of it's interesting through human mythology. There's a lot of that with the with reptiles and snakes and
Oh
serpents,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
that there is this sort of whole Babylonian mythological thing about reptiles and serpents, and I think it's just that because we're mammals, right? And we've got this sort of Joseph Campbell talks about it a lot in his books whenever he looks at comparative mythology. It's the difference between mammal and reptile and how we're so different, biologically, and why we then have this sort of natural sort of enmity with each other, right? So, because I don't know, some people like serpents. I just look at them and go,
Nah. Yeah. No.
uh.
They
Now
they
imagine
rank they
that.
rank above they rank above spiders, but not by
Yeah.
much.
This is true. This
Yeah,
is
I mean,
true.
do you remember the Star Trek episode where they all started to change into like what they all evolved from, and the Klingons
Yeah.
actually came from like the spider? That was an absolutely terrifying
Oh
episode,
yeah.
and was brilliant in a way because it got into that whole body horror thing and that whole like where do we all come from and like, how we've evolved, and our modern intellect, our modern consciousness compared to our past, and the great fear of all of that stuff. But anyway, yeah, I love the classic Battlestar Cylon origin story. I like the idea that the Cylon leader, is reverted back to still cybernetic, but reverted back to the original um, sort of
Original.
organic
Yeah.
reptile, and it makes a whole lot of sense with Ibley. Ibley being
Hmm.
the voice because
Right.
Ibley's Satan,
Yeah.
and we have the great serpent in the garden, and I think that's where that's where Glenn Larson was coming from, that mythological religious,
Yeah.
and that's what I miss about like new Battlestar. It's very regimented. It's kind of they sort of like try and it's more Star Trek-y. I mean, it's entertaining, but it loses that spiritual side. Um, it's more of like a whodunit as well, a whodunit in space. It's like who's the Cylon?
Yeah.
Yes. Is a big part of it. Right.
And that's a lot of that. It's like uncover the Cylon,
And
and
find out they never really had a plan to begin with. So
Yeah. Give me a
no, and
break.
the shoehorned spirituality that's put in there at the end. It's like they're angels. It's like, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think if classic Battlestar had gone on the same vein, like we had space Nazis, we still had the Cylons, we still
yeah.
had a lot
Yeah.
to uncover. We could have had the revenge of Ibley in whatever form that would have taken. I love Edward Mulhare. Like I love Knight Rider, but I love Edward Mulhare, who came
Hmm.
from Limerick. He came from Limerick.
Oh,
He was
okay.
an Irish actor. And he's got that great gravitas as John,
Yep.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And again, that's sort of the spiritual, the angelic concepts and the higher beings and all of that.
Yeah. That
But anyway,
definitely
that's
opened up a
just
different view on that
yeah.
later part of Battlestar. Like, wow, we're going somewhere different now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. Like if you look at Funko Fusion, and I would urge like people who like pop
We need,
culture
we need to get
to
on
go
there and
and
play there, Doc, because
yeah,
I've got it too.
get
So
get on it, get on it. I mean, you've got He-Man, you've got like
Knight
Back to the
Rider.
Future, Knight Rider, but they went back to the original Battlestar stuff, and that was what's interesting. They focused on that a bit more. So anyway, look, that's my rant over about Battlestar Galactica. Um, shall we continue with other things?
Yes, we shall.
Other
And
things
one of them,
like what?
Yeah, like we have a ton
You
of
don't
stuff.
do anything, sir. You're
Yes.
completely boring. You have nothing. You must sit around
Yeah,
all day
yeah,
and just
yeah.
like
That's right.
do
That's
nothing.
right. Well, now that you're here, we might as well just start off with the fact that IFB is an award-winning podcast, thanks to Wolf Media. And there is other tiers of competition that we have entered as well. And there's other possibilities, but for now, we have won an award for our podcasting. So Wolf Media, thank you very much for the recognition. Earlier today, we did receive confirmation that the Stranded Warrior short film has attained another recognition, and that is we've been nominated for Best Fan Film in the various artist let me see, I want to get their name correctly. It's various artists independent film festival. We've been selected, and we now are in the festival. We are also in the running as finalists for Best Fan Film in that festival. So that's a really cool award for us that we received today. We've put it out on some of our other social media, and then tonight we'll be putting it up on IFB as well. Very proud of the work we've done. Very proud of all the work that the cast and crew have done. Doc McAuley, of course, is executive producer on The Stranded Warrior, amongst other things. But so congratulations to you, Doc, to us here, and to all of you that helped make this bring it to life. Obviously, the film itself is making the rounds. I hope everyone has seen the trailer. It's an award-winning trailer. It's won, I think, 12 separate awards, and now the Stranded Warrior as a short film has now won. I believe this is our second and third award, and we're finalists for Best Fan Film. So very proud of that. It's a great accomplishment. So Doc, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you, when we were talking about fan films, it just shows you like the power of the fan film, and what it can do. And how it keeps it brings back, um, we're sort of resurrecting the classic Battlestar through all those kind of raising awareness through those sort of awards and those film festivals. It's not just sort of an ego stroke for us all. It's trying to raise awareness of classic Battlestar and its importance within the genre, and the fact that we believe that there's more stories to be told in classic Battlestar. So yeah, that's it's tremendous achievement, I think, for all fans out there across the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because there's the the big boys are, of course, the Star Wars, the Star Trek, and then the superhero fan films.
Ah, who gives a shit about them? Like you can go and see films about that on the cinema. You can go and watch countless, crappy TV shows that have all of that in there, right? Where can you see classic Battlestar? Where is
Nowhere,
it? It's not
nowhere.
there, right?
Nope.
So, it's fans who are putting the time in.
Yep.
It's people like Mike, it's ourselves, it's others out there that are putting the time and effort in to try and bring more content to fans of Battlestar. Um,
Yeah,
it's really important.
Absolutely.
I think the best way of saying it is it's logical.
Yes, it is. Michael Morlock, thanks for joining us live. Bert Oliver Bomer is with us. I know Sean Shallow from Battlestar Bulletin Board doing a tremendous job with his social media platform and Battlestar Galactica. Keep up the great work. I believe there's some of our colleagues out there as well. Thank you, all of you, for joining us live here on IFB. We have some other updates now that Doc McAuley is going to walk us through. I think if Tipsy's ready, we do have some visuals to go with the updates.
You're such a
Let's
nerd.
do it. Cheeky
Squirrel.
fucker.
You're such a nerd.
Oh, here's the Doc McAuley drinking game, and going strong.
That's it. That's it. So let me see what have we got up first. We've got this is really cool.
Hang on,
So
Doc, let me move you over a little bit.
yeah.
So you're not. Hang on. Earthquake.
Tsunami's next.
That's it.
Boom.
Oh, I almost shit myself then. So this is quite cool. I am not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, but they have been very kind to sort of latch on to some of my work. And Black Noise is one of the it's one of the most recognized LGBTQ magazines out there in Europe and US. And I've been there, I've been in it a couple of times, but now this month I have the very prestigious title of let me see, what is it? Featured poet of the month. So Black Noise is it's going to be freely available tomorrow, the magazine, and you'll be able to read some of my poetry there, as well as look at lots of charming models like the person on the cover, and catch up on all the news relevant to LGBT community across Europe and America.
Fantastic.
Cool. By the way,
yeah.
Doc McAuley, I just wanted to interject here that our colleagues from our fellow podcasters, Star Pod Trek and Star Pod Log,
Man,
thank you guys for
them in
joining us.
forever.
Yeah, you guys got to come on. Thank you so much for dropping in. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I started watching? I started watching Next Gen again.
Next
And
Gen?
realized how Star Trek Next Gen, and it was actually, you realize how good that was.
Yes.
And it is. I think
Some of it's very good. Yeah.
I've got back into it again. I hadn't watched it for, I'm sure, about 10 years, and got to season 3 now, and it really is season 2, season 3, everything starts to just click. I really love Next Gen. I miss the fact that Star Trek isn't like that anymore. I understand why it had to move on, but I miss that sort of. It's almost like when you watch an episode of Next Gen or DS9, it's like watching your family. And again, it goes back to class. That goes back to a wee bit to classic Battlestar. Your fans,
and I think
your
with
friends
Next
and family,
Gen,
right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think with Next Gen, you also get the same feeling as you did with Battlestar. Is almost each show stands on its own.
Mm-hmm.
You can jump in at any point in time and usually get caught up. I mean, there may be some things, Q may come through a bunch of times in Next Gen, but I think it rolls just like Battlestar used to. I mean, it was a single story inside that universe that continues the ideas. So that gives you the capabilities of, unlike a TV show that has a continuous role. I forget what they call it. It's just whereas each story builds off each other. When you have single stories, you have the capability of going, okay, what could have happened differently, and actually build off of those stories. Whereas with the continuous story, you already have the answer.
Well, what I loved was you might have had the one-shot stories, but the character arcs kind of continue. There was that sort of continuation of the character arcs, and you had that with Battlestar as well, and some fascinating and diverse. I hear all these people shouting about, Star Trek's become woke. Star Trek's always been woke. I mean, you want to look at Data when he creates his daughter, and he says, "I will let her choose her gender to Troy."
Right.
Okay,
right.
And that's a pretty powerful statement there, and that's one of my favorite episodes. I mean, I know Brent Spiner. Data's one of my favorite characters. Brent's more like lower than Data, though.
He did a great audio book. Whoops, where am I at? I'm over here. Oh, here. But you're off the side. Okay. Anyway, I'll bring you up here.
Is he there?
There you go.
Is he there?
Move over.
Is he gonna I lean forward? I lean forward.
One of the audiobooks Brent Spiner did was based on a fan. Having fans, it's really good. So if you get a chance to check out his audiobook on that, it's pretty good. Can't remember the title off the top of my head, but
I was talking to Pete about his music album. Old Yellow Eyes is back. I'll give him a plug. go and listen to that. It's on Spotify, and it's Frank Sinatra stuff. It's the crooning stuff. He
Hmm.
used to his parents used to. I'm going to sit up now. There, look, you're making me sit up.
Well,
There.
now I'm gonna have to adjust everything.
Yeah, yeah. So his parents, whenever he was a kid, and he was
Hang on,
well,
I'll fix it.
uh,
Hold still. Quit moving.
uh, they used to play Sinatra records and stuff during dinner, and that's where that all came from. And there's a little bonus track at the end where all the Enterprise crew um, do a little duet with him. So that's quite special.
That's cool.
Um, and why many of them should just stick to acting and not worry about the vocals. But anyway, that was quite cruel. I shouldn't say that, but it's quite true. Um, so yeah, horror scene. So I'm also the one of the featured poets this month in the horror scene.
Cool.
These poems aren't actually horror based. They're actually about aspects of my life this month, about certain friends and things like that I've had. So check that out. It's online. Again, it's a free magazine. The editor makes it free every month, and then there's a special paperback edition that comes out, and hardback edition that comes out in Amazon. And I'm in the next one of it as well, so more news on that whenever it becomes available. Um, I also write splatterpunk. So if you like
What is
Clive
that?
Barker, if you like all of that stuff, extremely violent horror.
Okay.
This is Carnage House, so I'm in the best of Carnage House. Carnage House is a growing splatterpunk magazine. I also interviewed Clive Barker for it, and Clive also gave me some lovely blurbs about my work in splatterpunk. So I mean, if you like Clive Barker stuff, essentially that's what splatterpunk is. It's a term that sort of came about in the 80s. So I'm in the best of in that a best of Carnage House. I'm also in Schlock's magazine, so you'll get this in Amazon, and I'm on the front cover. It's a bit blurry, but down there at the bottom right is my story, and that is what the cover artwork is based on.
Ooh,
There is going to be another issue, I believe, out very soon. So, but this one's available on Amazon right now. Sci-fi fantasy. I wrote for this one, so that's pretty nice. Schlock was also we used Schlock was we had Stranded Warrior on the front cover of Schlock magazine,
you
Yeah.
sure did.
and we had a special um, short story and behind the scenes images as well.
Yes.
So this is a book coming out tomorrow, which is based on H.R. Giger's work. I was the editor for this book for Eighth Tower Publishing, and it's a compilation of short stories, all based around Giger's work. And I've got a couple of short stories in there and articles about Giger's tarot and sexuality within Giger's work as well. That sort of biomechanical sexuality. Uh, so that's coming out. So that'll be out tomorrow. So have a look at that one if you're interested in Giger's work.
Where can I get that one?
That'll be Amazon. So just yeah, biomechanic. Just Google it.
Okay.
It's coming out. I suppose I can tell you now that the next book that's coming from Iftar that I'm doing is an H.R. Giger book, or not H.R. Giger, sorry, Clive Barker book. That is I'm currently editing that at the minute. That'll be available hopefully around Halloween.
Cool. So I think Tipsy might be putting up a link to that and this as
Working on it.
well.
Yeah, so I also do kids stuff, and we all know that Dr. Frankenstein is its own beast now, has become its own beast. It's an activity book. It is a novel. It is a board game. Um, it's going to become a choose your own adventure game book. It may become a video game at some stage, and it has been signed up by an entertainment company to become a animated kids show, potentially. So Dr. Frankenstein's kind of become This strange franchise that just came about from a board game idea. But this is the activity coloring book that came out just a couple of days ago. It's perfect for kids if you've got kids that that are bored during the summertime or whatever. There's like coloring in. There's just a traditional activity book. I've written a few new short stories in there as well. And all the puzzles were created by Andy Brown and Leo Boyd. Really like the cover to that one. It's nice.
Cool.
Can't find the biomechanic. I'm still looking for it though. I'm gonna get
All
that.
right.
Yeah, I will get a link to you. It's under 8th Tower. So here's the other cool thing about 8th Tower Publishing. They don't just do books, but they also do audios that come with the books, so you can sit and listen to audio tracks. These are not AI generated audio tracks. These are all organic tracks. So we've got various ones out at the minute. These are all books that I've compiled and edited and worked on and have stories in. So if you like Lovecraft, that's a Lovecraftian one that Tipsy's just put up. But we have a lot more. We've got stories, connected to the John Carpenter universe. We have quite that's quite brutal horror, Satanism and witchcraft in the United States. It's kind of like the black magic stuff. So stories all linked to black magic. I have a story in there that's actually uh, an American folk tale from about a boo hag. And a boo hag is a creature that will steal your skin and wear it. Sort of like V, a little bit like V. So yeah, so that's and then we have if you remember the Stalker film, the 1970s Stalker film and the Stalker video games. This is a book that's based on those, and the CD with it as well. That was a lot of fun to work on. Solaris, the Solaris two Solaris films. This is an anthology based on that universe and its associated CD. So yeah, we have a lot of these sort of anthologies out with CDs. And the latest one will be the Giger one that will have a CD with it as well. These CDs are available as physicals, and also you can get them from Bandcamp and I believe Spotify.
Ah, cool.
And this is one that I wrote in the Alien universe, and it has its own specialized track. I think the track's called Xenogenesis. So if you get the I think it's Terror Vision is the anthology that the Alien story's in. If you get that and you get this single album, you will get a wonderful Alien inspired track that you can listen to as you read the story. Yeah, there's Terror Vision there. It's really try and create this sort of audio immersion with the reading experience. And the guy who owns 8th Tower, he's brilliant at that. That's his love. He tries to immerse people in reading. And everything that I'm doing at the minute in the worlds of literature, whether it's this, whether it's kids' books, I want to bring people back to the written word. I think it's pretty important. I mean, this is very controversial. I have a hatred of television at the minute. I have a hatred of the crap that's out there in television. I don't think it does very much for us. Certainly doesn't do much to stimulate the imagination if you look at all of these so-called reality shows. And this is what I miss about 70s, 80s, and 90s and early 2000s TV. A lot of it can be, campy or whatever, but the imagination that was there and the excitement that the audience had of watching it. I mean, I'm watching through Knight Rider again as well. Like the 4K release is out.
Yes,
And
can't wait to get the 4K release.
that's the Knight Riders is incredible. Maybe modern audiences now wouldn't think so. I mean, I'm not that old. I'm 42. I'm not that old. But I mean, I love Knight Rider and Airwolf and
Woohoo,
all of
Airwolf.
those shows. And Miami Vice is
Yes.
damn good as well.
Yes. One of my
Miami
favorites.
Vice is pretty gritty. It's that urban 80s stuff. And it's you can see the Brian De Palma influence there. I mean, one of my favorite films is Scarface, but I mean, we're talking about films, like Scarface, and those films would never get made now,
Oh no.
not in the
No.
not in the same way. And Scarface was genuinely pretty shocking at the time. But it didn't show a whole lot. There was a lot that was left to the imagination. I mean, whenever Pacino's, the chainsaw's coming up to Pacino's face, and it just cuts away. But you know what's about to happen.
Right.
Fast.
Implied. It's
It
yeah.
was implied, um, but everything was done so masterfully in that era. Now, when you look at the stuff that goes directly to Netflix, and I mean, where are we paying these subscription services? Where are we paying this money? It's mostly AI written slob. And again, I have a pathological hatred of AI writing. And you can tell if something's AI written because it has uh, there are certain tells that a writer can see, a repetitive nature, and there's many of those films or the scripts are written that are derivative of AI. But if we go back and we see um, the stuff that we all talk about, like Star Trek Next Generations and Airwolf and A-Team and all of that, those were well written. The dialogue was pretty snappy. I mean, A-Team was that ensemble cast, and an ensemble cast is extremely difficult to write. Um, and in the writing in the A-Team, there was enough room to allow the actors to breathe through as well, which is very important. But this is why I'm trying to bring people back to the written word, because what we can conjure with our imaginations, and I think that's important as well. Our imagination keeps us very healthy. It's one of the reasons that neurologically we need REM sleep, because it's processing the stuff in the subconscious, but also it's that imagination that keeps us alive. There's a Star Trek episode about that as well. Whenever they couldn't sleep on Enterprise, and they all were dying because they
Yes,
couldn't get REM
I remember
sleep,
that
That's
now.
right.
and that's actually what happened to us if we didn't have REM sleep. Um, but yeah, the death of the imagination is something that worries me, and that's why I'm spending a lot of time on kids' books and kids' comics, and young adult stuff. I mean, the things that we're dealing with, and we're going to talk about this in a minute or two, but the stuff we're doing with the Larson family, with Eric Larson, is all about bringing that imagination back, and about what his father's vision was, and what Eric's vision is, for television as a medium, and to bring back thoughtful television that has heroes, uh, villains you love to hate, and everything sort of in between.
There's a couple other slides, not to miss out on a couple of other announcements. Yes, here we go.
Yeah, here we
This
go.
is
So,
cool.
for those of you that grew up before video games were a big thing in the UK. I grew up in the era but video games were starting to sort of break through in the 90s a little bit. But during the 80s and early 90s, there was a game book series called Fighting Fantasy. And Fighting Fantasy, I think, there's 60 books in total. They were created by Ian Livingstone of Games Workshop, Warhammer fame. He created Games Workshop, and Steve Jackson. And these were books where they were choose your own adventures with a slight difference, because they had a combat mechanic. I'm very thankful to Tin Man Games to be involved in some of these adaptations that have gone to video game. Recently, like I think 12 hours ago, we released our latest one called Crypt Sorcerer. So here's one of the teaser videos for it. Um, and yeah, this is there's books, this is what the books look like, so you can play through them. They're quite inexpensive. They're in Canadian terms, they're about $4.99. And they've got the original artwork, and yeah, there's all sorts of titles there that I've been involved with. I'm very grateful for that too. So you go check that out. They're on Steam and iOS, and yeah, there's a few more to come as well. But if you enjoy gamification of reading, it's it's perfect. And it's one of those video game series. Again, it's something that I'm committed to the gamification of reading, and sort of bringing that back again.
Excellent. And I believe there was, I think, one last uh, slide, but I just wanted to.
That was
Uh,
part of the game thing.
oh, was it okay? I
Yeah.
want to acknowledge that Dale Adams is with us. Thanks for tuning in, Dale. Appreciate you. Anthony Carruthers, thank you. Derek, thanks for dropping in. Derek Johnson's going to be a future guest here on IFB. Thanks for dropping in, guys. Appreciate all of you watching here with us live from all over the world. Very, very cool. And then, of course, everyone that watches us later on, Doc McAuley, we get, thousands of views later on after we close out on the live, but the live cast, but the live stream. Thank you, everybody, and congratulations to you, Doc, for all these great accomplishments. I know that in the truth of the matter is that you write these, you put these, you hand them over to your publishers, and then it's not up to you when they're released. So sometimes, you just put them out into that world, and then all of a sudden, like now, they've kind of all, ripened or matured, and now they're all
Yeah,
out. And it's
yeah.
not up to you, but congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's actually when it comes to we talked about with Jasper Crystal. Crystal's one of my publishers as well. It's actually how I met Jasper and get familiar with his work. But Crystal have I think a total at the minute of 7 or 8 kids' books of mine, which are all in the pipeline and are all slowly coming out. The next one is a Choose Your Own Adventure, Alien at the Backyard Barbecue. It's coming out, I think, on Tuesday, and it's illustrated by Cy Chinook. And then the following one that comes out is the book that I've done with Claudia Christian, which is The Mother Tree, which is beautiful, some beautiful illustrations there, and it's written in a form of classical children's literature like Beatrix Potter, but it has a very strong environmentalist message and a very hopeful message. Claudia, I'll talk about this a bit more, and we'll maybe get Claudia on to talk about it once it's released. I think it's getting an August or September release. But Claudia had a very bad bout of COVID years ago, and she had a dream that was sort of these animals in this wood, and then she came to me, and then we crafted these short stories that became this one book together. And we're very lucky as well because we've got a Grammy Award winning composer who is turning the book into a composition for an orchestral score, and he was the musician to the previous administration of the White House when America was sane. And he also works with the Catholic Church as well on some of their compositions. Very, very famous guy called Richard Daniel Purr, extremely talented man. He teaches at Juilliard, and he got a hold of the book and absolutely loved it. And now it's going to be a composition very similar to Peter and the Wolf. So again, it's about bringing that experience to children. So the idea would be that Claudia would voice the characters on stage, and then there would be the orchestral score behind it. And when I wrote the book with an orchestral score in mind, with each of the characters being symbolized by an instrument. But again, creating an environment where children can go and experience music and experience story with music. And I had that last year. We took my wife's nephew and niece to Gershwin's Magic Key, and I'm a big fan of Gershwin's music, and it focused very much on Rhapsody in Blue because that's his signature piece, and it's a good piece to start kids into Gershwin. And it was a fantastic show. It was a two-man show that was acted out, and it was about the power of imagination and the power of music. And it was backed up by Edmonton's Symphony Orchestra. All of these experiences are extremely important for kids' development. Stop letting them watch TikTok. Take the screens away from them, and go to these experiences and have kids experience the arts and, you know, cinema. Like cinema is an experience. You know, I talk about screens that are bad and things, but sometimes going to cinema is an experience that can be very positive. I mean, I'm a big fan of the new Superman film, and I'm a big fan of the new Fantastic Four film, mostly because it's about hope. And it's, you know, it's bringing back heroism, and I think that's important for families to watch and kids to watch as well, because by God, we need heroes in our current era.
You're
Speaking
right, Doc, and
of,
it's
sorry.
really cool the idea of pushing the youth into reading and actually just diversifying their their world, right?
Yeah,
They're coming out of a lot of the post, pandemic era now, and they need to, step away from home, step away from the video games,
Step away from
and
this.
yeah, and
yes,
that's the core problem. Now,
that
I
is.
obviously use my phone, right? And I use my phone for all sorts of things. You know, it's a great tool, but technology does cause an overabundance of use of technology causes psychological anxiety, and also we live in this age where there's never been as much information you
Oh,
could and it all can be falsified, right? So it's
Yes.
hard to know now what's AI, what's true, what's not, what's being pushed, what's not been pushed. And I don't want to get too political, but this is all coming to our youth now. I lectured at my old schools. And what I noticed was when I was lecturing at my old primary school, so that's from ages 5 to 11, that they had the imaginative spark. I was teaching poetry, I was teaching, like writing short stories, and the imaginative spark was there. So, one of the exercises I did was I brought an apple in, and, some of these kids had never written poetry before, and they didn't know what poetry was. So I explained that it was basically a short story, but it was told in a specific way. And it can be told from an emotional way, it can be told from a tactile way or memory and all of that kind of stuff. But I dumbed that down, kids could understand what I was talking about. So I gave them all an apple, and I said, touch the apple, hand the apple round. I want you to write 3 words that are describing words about touching the apple, and then, smelling the apple, and then imagining tasting the apple, because please God, kids don't start eating the apple when all your hands have been around it. But all of that, and imagine what the sound of the apple would be if it fell or if it from a tree. And out of those 20 kids, I got 20 unique stories.
ah,
So
When
that's
I
good.
Yeah, when I went to the older school, which was 13 to 17, and it was what we term as a grammar school back home, or that would probably be one of the high end schools in the States. Um, from I was teaching arts. I did three lectures on arts, and basically art that was I did a lecture on comic book art, a lecture on video game art, and a lecture on VFX for films, like basic VFX for films. So I explained that you could get a career in arts. It was difficult, but here's different things you could diversify into that I've had experience of. So, I took the kids through all of that stuff. When I asked the kids if they knew who Stan Lee was, one child raised his hand. Whenever I asked the kids, had they, they know anything that Spider-Man, like Spider-Man comics or anything like that, had they read a recent Spider-Man comic? No. If the kids had read did they read comics in general? I think 3 kids put up their hands. Any understanding of artwork or visuals, they didn't get it. And I took them through, the differences between 1960s art, the sort of pop culture art, to the gritty 80s and 90s, and to the artwork that we have today, and then the different forms of artwork, the painted artwork and all of that kind of stuff. But there was no spark there. There was no joy. There was no uh, discovery. It was like talking to robots.
Whoa, I know Tipsy will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, honestly, it was like talking, and
there's
and this is what
there's a
is
difference between robots and thinking robots. I mean,
yeah. Well,
come on,
there's
Cylons actually have brains, so it's not
Oh
just
boy.
yeah.
but
Well,
but yeah. So this is why I sort of I beg parents to take an interest and really try with kids, and we're doing this with Bonnie's nephew and nieces and stuff, and get them to see new experiences. And like if they've got the Marvel fandoms and stuff from the films, great, but go out of your way to get comic
But
books,
yeah, they may
Superman
not
comic
even.
books, all of it.
Yeah, they may watch the
So,
movies, but they'll never probably look at one of the comics
well, that's
Yeah,
or
something that,
Marvel, as a matter of fact.
look, putting out the work that you do is important because it's a step in the right direction. And speaking of work, we promised that we would discuss some of or the other projects that we're doing. Um,
yes,
we we are putting out a Battlestar Galactica homage book. Some of the contributors to the book are on with us tonight
yes,
here live, and that's uh, Bert Oliver Boehmer and Professor Eric Padden have written articles that will be in this book that we're coming out with, and we we've kind of not we've skirted around,
two
the
things. We've skirted around two
yeah,
things. So we don't have a drum roll,
no,
but but
Well, I could
this
look
this
one up.
these two announcements are worthy of no dome.
Hang on,
Dome.
ready?
oh
Oh
boy,
God.
oh no, all right, can't
Okay,
hear it
okay,
yet.
there we
All right,
go.
yeah,
So I'll do one announcement if you want to
yes,
do the other,
yes,
Pete. So
yes,
I'll start. We do have uh Eric Larson is going to be a part of the book. He's very so Eric Larson's very kindly he's assented to be part of the book. He's going to go through some of his memories, and that's going to be really really cool, along with Lorette's contribution as well.
yep.
And do you want to do the second announcement, Pete?
Well, the other project.
No, you do. Who's the cover artist?
Okay, so the cover artist, which we have not revealed, is none other than Chris Scalf, who actually was heavily involved at one time with one of the runs of the Battlestar Galactica comic books. And Tipsy and I happen to own quite a bit of original artwork that he had created for the comic books. It is beautiful artwork. He's super talented, and he's actually done a previous work for a nonfiction Battlestar Galactica book. And so he has now been contracted and commissioned to do the cover for the book that we are involved in. So
Yeah, and this book it's got Battlestar Galactica quiz, some questions written by Cassiopeia herself.
that's right.
It's got extensive fan fiction. It's got articles. It's got work now with Eric Larson.
Yep.
It's got as much as we can throw at this first volume. Dun, dun, dun. First volume. And this is going to be published by Crystal Lake. Everybody's signed contracts. We are well on our way to compiling everything together. I believe that Chris Scalf is in the middle of doing the cover artwork as we speak. So we're hoping for a release this year. If not this year, it'll be very early next year.
Yep.
And yeah, you know what? We should talk about what other things we're doing, Eric, because we've got contracts that we were signed. Do you want to talk about that, Pete? Do you want to kick that off?
Yes, we can. As a matter of fact, before we do, Professor Padden put up the last great original Galactica comic series, Realm Press. That's the one
Mm,
that Chris Scalf worked
Yeah.
on,
it's beautiful.
which it is
Beautiful work.
it's really good stuff. The stories are very good too. So we've actually locked down an original IP that created a little bit of a wave when we kind of announced that we were working with Glenn Eric Larson. It's all original, and You've penned the novel that goes with this. We have a comic book, and I believe we are also, I believe it's the RPG is the
We've
other.
got yeah, we've
Yeah,
got one tabletop game signed with another one on its way.
yeah.
And we're looking at the possibility with a video game company as well. And ultimately, what we will be doing with this is bring it to the attention of TV producers, and
Yes. Now
that's what we're looking to do.
we
And
have a work.
this is a young adult, family orientated
Yeah.
show. So it underlines everything that we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes about trying to bring good entertainment back to to families.
Yes.
And I promise that I have written no swear words in this whatsoever.
We have
Well, you
we have
did probably
partnered.
scratch them out, but anyway.
Yes. We partnered with Glenn Eric Larson. We are very, very honored and lucky to have him as an official partner in this original IP. And so we are definitely moving forward. We have a working title. I don't know that we should release that yet, Doc.
Is it registered?
We're
Is it the
waiting.
official final title? I think. Um,
We're no, it's not. So
okay, so we
we'll
can't
wait
release
for,
that.
yeah,
We'll
we'll
leave
wait
that.
for another we'll make it another release and we'll actually put that out.
Yeah,
So we don't have quite all of the autographs that we need to have on all of those contracts yet. So I think it's in our best interest to hold off on the
yeah,
working title. But this is where we're going, guys. You've heard it here first on IFB. We're very proud of the work. Of course, the IFB team, in one form or another, are involved. As of course is Tipsy Toaster, and the rest of the crew. Look for a electronic press kit for IFB that we're finishing up, Doc, for the that's linked to our award. And the second, there's another possibility, another competition that we've entered for streaming podcast. So that's out there as well. We're happy, of course, that the Stranded Warrior is doing as well as it is. And then our other project, the Tower Protocol Resurrection, it has also gotten some very positive attention, and we're moving forward with that as well. And so we want to thank everybody. Thank you, Doc McAuley, for being executive producer on our films, working here on IFB as well as one of the executive producers. And congratulations to you and all the work that you've done. Thank you for doing it all. You
thanks,
bring
man.
a positive energy to everything, and to all the fans and to everybody else that's out there, and all the supporters, right? We love all you guys, and it makes a difference, right? So we do this because we're fans. We do this because you're out there, and we appreciate you. And of course, our colleagues, all our guests, everybody that's involved in one form or another. Thank you. Tipsy, you have a couple of good things to say, I hope.
Huh? No. What? Anyways, caught me flat. No, just kidding. I think we're definitely heading in the right direction in regards to getting more stuff out. I really enjoyed the fan film. I think there is a desire to see the full fan film. I think that's about a year and a half away, maybe, because we're going to be doing these other projects. But the 50th anniversary is coming up. My personal goal is to hopefully have a new Battlestar Galactica fan film ready for that. Maybe the continuation is kind of what I'm hoping for in regards to that. That's hopefully in the 50th, and then right before the 50th, I'd like to release the director's cut the year before. So, but that's a little ways away. But we have so much more coming out. We have so much more possibilities, so many more stories that we have coming up. I think it's exciting. to be involved with the Power Ranger group here. Well, who's the Red Ranger? So we know McAuley be the Red Ranger. Anyways, but I think it's fantastic that we have this together, and I enjoy working with the fans, and I enjoy working with you guys. It is it's a pleasure and it's exciting. I mean, once again, when you work with people who fuel you, the fans who fuel us, the my coworkers here that fuel me, I think that's that's what makes things so much more fun and exciting. You fuel the fleet, you fuel each other, you fuel the fandom. So that's what I have to say.
So
Is that enough?
excellent. I think it's perfect. Thank you, Tipsy. All right, Doc McAuley, that brings us to a wrap then.
Yeah.
Sure, you need to
Another-
go to sleep sooner or later, sir.
Yes, you do.
Oh, wait. He's got something going on.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be sleeping for the next few hours, but yeah, I've got another book release coming up, so I'll be in the middle of that. I've got another comic book release as well. I've got a massive book release coming very soon that I'm working with a publisher on. And you see, this is the thing a lot of people don't realize. It's not A lot of it isn't just me handing stuff over to publishers. Then what happens is the publisher comes back, and then I have to start looking through it and work with the art editor and the people who bind the books. So there's a Doctor Who book that's coming out, which is a pretty big deal. Amazing artist, Charles Waples, amazing artist. He was a James Bond artist and did a lot of stuff like that. And he's done a beautiful work. And we're putting that Doctor Who book together. It's going to be available in the next 2 weeks. So there's work that needs done on that tonight.
Is that the Dalek one, or is that the
Dalek one? Yeah.
Nice.
Robots rule, baby.
It's the Dalek one, and then there's there's a Doctor Who comic, which is a continuation of a Seventh Doctor story, which is a prequel and sequel. And I've written one of the comic parts with a very famous Doctor Who actor who's also been in lots of films like Fantastic Four. He's in the new Fantastic Four film. He's also in the F1 film. His name's Mickey Lewis. And he was a Dalek. He is the Dalek
Nice.
since 2005. But he does a lot of things where when he's not inside the creature. Sometimes he is the creature with the makeup and all the rest of it. So he's written. He actually was a Doctor Who author as well. So he's written part of a comic book with me. And there's all sorts going on with that comic book. That's probably something that I think at the end of the year is coming out.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of stuff going on.
Awesome. And
Cheers.
thanks to all the fans, and thanks to all of my friends, and thanks to all of my coworkers here. We appreciate everybody because the fans fuel the fleet.
Fans fuel the fleet. Here's to you guys.